Do you two know each other?
No,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Dim,
Remember
I don't want
when
anything to
we
happen
were
to you.
kids? Those days the sky so blue.
There are some love stories, right? There are some love stories that have a way of just sitting in your heart. They just have a way of sitting with you. And Summer Rain is one of those stories. It was an emotional, nostalgic, a little bit frustrating sometimes in some parts, but also a deeply beautiful story, from the innocence of first love to the realities of growing up and growing apart. This story just has a way of staying with you. It had its flaws, don't get me wrong. It had some pacing issues, storyline that were left unexplored, but at the end of the day, the love story between Dim and Muri, I was here for it. Every look, every feeling left unspoken, every stolen moment, all built up to the part that had me crying in the cinema when I watched this movie. Was it perfect? Of course not. But was it worth it? Absolutely. Let's talk about it. Hello from wherever you're watching me. My name is Noyelum. If you are new here, do consider subscribing. And if you're an oldie, welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. So today I'll be doing a full dive into my reaction to Summer Rain. I'll be breaking down what I liked about the movie, what I didn't like about the movie, my final thoughts, including my rating. So let's get right into the movie. So let's talk about the plot of this movie. But I'm going to say it in the order that made sense to me, because throughout the movie they kept going back and forth between past and present. And to me it was just too much, and it made it difficult to follow the movie sometimes. So I'm going to be explaining it in a way that made sense to me. This basically follows the love of two teenage best friends who obviously have feelings for each other but have not expressed those feelings to each other. It just basically follows two teenage friends trying to navigate friendship and romance. And in this, we can see Dim struggling to express his feelings to Murie, just telling her exactly how he feels. And Murie, on the other hand, just waiting for him to also tell her exactly how he feels. And then Muri goes to university before the university. She's pressured by her roommate, to date this guy whose intentions has been known from the get-go, introducing Toye, the boyfriend.
Hi,
And the
I'm
world
Tefe.
wasn't yet
Mama's
so
boyfriend.
blue.
And that's where this movie takes a dark turn, because Toye made some advances towards Muri, his girlfriend, to try to have like sexual relations. But Muri constantly turned him down because she felt like she needed to give it to the right person and the right time. Entering the right person and the right time, who is Dim, who comes right in the middle of them having this conversation. She basically excuses her boyfriend so she can introduce, so that she can have spend time with Dim, who comes all the way to spend some time with her in school, and they proceed to having sexual relations. Now, this timeline is very important for the later explanation in the movie. So, she and Dim have sexual relations. Fast forward to weeks later, Tofe comes to confront her because she has been obviously avoiding Tofe. He comes to confront her about it, that, oh, why have you been avoiding me? Your best friend has gone back to Lagos, right? And all that jazz. And then he confronts her and asks her if she gave her virginity to him, and she said yes. Then he proceeds to abusing her sexually. Weeks after that, she finds out that she's pregnant, and she's very sure that it's Toyo's baby. Tofe's baby, sorry. She's very sure that it's Tofe's baby because Tofe obviously forced himself on her and she didn't use protection. And so she tells Dim that she's pregnant and the pregnancy is not for him. Dim is heartbroken, leaves her. He was already processing because he was about to travel abroad to further his education, and he was processing to go with her as a dependent. But because of the heartbreak, he leaves her, no communication. She's heartbroken that her best friend abandons her, even though he still didn't tell her that he loved her or even expressed his feelings to her, even after they had sex. She was heartbroken. And fast forward to 10 years later, the both of them stumbled on each other on a project. and they are made to work with each other. And so we find for the remaining part of the remaining half of part of the movie, them navigating, is there still love here? What's going on here? Obviously, there was still love. The both of them still had love for each other, but just trying to reconnect that love, trying to forgive each other, and trying to move on from their past is what we watch throughout the remainder of the movie. And then it turns out that actually Dim was the father of her child. And so the rest of the movie was just built up to like us just seeing them reconnect their love, us just also seeing them like trying to become a couple again. And guess what? Dim, even after all these years, is still struggling with vulnerability. Like, it seems like it was a theme we see throughout the movie. Dim expressing his love through actions, and he's doing things for Muri. He's there for her, he cares for her in every way possible, but he never can actually say the words that Muri has been waiting for throughout the movie to hear. It takes Dim up until almost the very end of this movie, after years of knowing that he loves her, to finally say those words, I love you and I want you. And I remember when he finally said it, I felt relief for Muri. And it got me thinking, like, why is it so hard for some men to like be vulnerable? Why is it so hard for men to just, they do every other thing than saying those three words, I love you and I want you? Like, let me know in the comment section, why do you think it's so hard for men to be vulnerable? And why do you think it takes so much from them to say those three-letter words, I love you? Anyway, the final scene of this movie had me crying in the cinema. Like, with all the emotions that they were building throughout this movie, was just to the climax of the final scene of this movie, and that was the proposal. It was the cheesiest, corniest, and emotional as hell scene I've ever seen. I couldn't even like. I was videoing it, and then I was recording it, and then I just saw myself crying, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so annoying. Why am I even crying? Like, the whole thing just made in a beautiful way for their story to come together. And even though Dim didn't say those words until the very end, his actions finally, like, the actions spoke for him. And then when he finally said it, I could see that this was what the Muri was waiting for her entire life to hear from this guy, is that I want you, I need you, and I want to marry you. It was just so cute to watch. Like, I was crying in the cinema. I couldn't even believe myself. Like, I was like, oh my god, it's so emotional. What the heck?
You really loved her, didn't you?
I've been in love with her for almost half of my life.
We don't have to talk much. Do a thing or
Why
two.
will your husband be angry?
Yes, we'll do that too. Now we
You should go.
are across the road.
She's been doing well without you anyway.
Should we stay or do we go?
She hurt me. Dude, she was the one who ruined what we had.
Hi or goodbye tonight.
You both should
Don't
shake
say
hands
goodbye.
because you both are now partners.
Come and stay.
I'm so sorry.
You went back to him!
Sorry, stop! Please stop!
You should have just said that you love me.
I could have made a
I
difference!
would have said the world. Don't you get it?
Stay the night with me.
Let me dive right into the things that I loved about this movie. The things that I loved about this movie was the romance itself. I was fully here for Doom and Murray's story. I was here for the innocence in their teenage days. I was here for the everything, the unspoken feeling, the tension, the chemistry. Everything was well done. The visuals of this movie, every scene felt soft. It felt intimate. The cinematography really captured the nostalgic, an emotional tone that I think that the story was going for. The performances in this movie, Genevieve Ume, I think that's her name, playing the younger version of Murray. I feel like Genevieve is one of the most amazing actors of our time. Like, she knows how to bring a character to life. Daniel Etim Effiong and Bolaji Ogunmola, mwah, chef kiss. They delivered the adult Dim and Muri to perfection. I enjoyed their performances. They kissed a lot in this movie, and people in the cinema were just complaining. No wonder Daniel's wife is complaining everywhere. Must you kiss? Must you kiss? But I'm not going to lie, the kissing scenes felt a bit uncomfortable, and I feel like they felt uncomfortable because of how much we all hear Daniel's wife complain about how these things make her feel uncomfortable. I think it's slowly rubbing off on the viewers. That's just a story for another day. But I'm telling you that everybody in the cinema felt uncomfortable by the amount of kissing scenes, which was not a lot compared to other movies. But because we've heard the wife like talk on the internet how uncomfortable and insecure all these things make her feel, it's rubbing off on the audience. I'm telling you something. The soundtrack of this movie was beautiful. It really helped to set the mood for this film. And to be honest, I am a sucker for second chances love. Like I am just a sucker for second chance love. That is my trope. I love that trope for books. I You think I wouldn't like it for movies? I love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it. I love that the fact that it wasn't just about teenage love, but also about, what happens in life that separates people and sometimes also bring them back together. And of course, the ending of this movie made me cry, and that's something to say about the movie. Now let's go down to the things that I did not like. So the things I didn't like about this movie, first off, the constant back and forth between the past and the present. Oh my god, I was tired of it. I was tired of the way the movie kept jumping between timelines. It made me feel like it just made me feel out of loop from the fluid or the flow of the movie. I would have preferred a more structured, linear storyline where we fully experience the past before moving to the present. But that's just my own thoughts. Some of the scenes felt dragged and overly repetitive. There were moments where I saw the same thing just in different variation, the same scene in a different angle shortly before they gave us another scene. Example of that was that scene by the pool. I just felt like that scene was unnecessary. It just made the movie just longer. I just felt like it was a filler scene, and it shouldn't have even been added. It shouldn't have made the cut to the end of the movie. It should have just taken that scene out completely. But that was one of the things that I felt like I didn't like about this movie. One thing that really annoyed me was the fact that they didn't flesh out Dim's background. I mean, there was a scene where she was telling him, "I'm not your mother and you are not your father." So was there something between the mother and the father that made it difficult for Dim to express himself emotionally? Was there some trauma or whatever? We never got to see that, and I feel like they were hinting it, but they didn't fully put it together. Because why was the father an alcoholic? Why did he start drinking alcohol all up and down the place? Like we literally see parts of them like always trying to pick the father up from the floor when he has finished drinking. We saw people mocking him that his father is a drunk, but they never really tell us why the father deteriorated to that. You understand? So I feel like Dim's background wasn't, fully fleshed out very well. They would have taken some of all those unnecessary scenes and given us a story about his background. Another storyline that I felt like they didn't fully flesh out was the Two-Face storyline. I mean, what happened to him after what he did to Muri? How did she process what he did to her? I mean, it was such a significant effect, and the movie barely addressed the emotional weight of the aftermath of that, other than the fact that Dim left her. You get? I feel like that storyline could have been fleshed out more. We could see how she dealt with it and dealt with it alone, because they hinted it. Oh, I'm so sorry that you had to deal with that all by yourself, but they never really showed us. Do you get what I mean? All in all, despite all the things I didn't like about this movie, it was still a very good and beautiful movie to watch. And I want to give a special shout out to the director and producer and co-producer of this movie, Adenike Adebayo Eso. I love her so much. I am a fan. I'm actually a subscriber, a YouTube subscriber. I used to watch her in her early days when she used to review Nollywood movies just the way I am doing now. And now she has moved from that to actually producing and making amazing films. And I'm just here for it. And I respect her a lot. So I want to give kudos and a shout out to her. If ever in this life she ever watches my video, just know that I love you and I'm so proud of you. I mean, I have followed her journey from movie reviews to her web series 360 with Abby. If you're an OG on this YouTube channel, you will know that I had recommended that web series to watch, although you can't find it on YouTube anymore, but it was one of the best web series that time that was on there. It was so underrated. I feel like people didn't hear about it enough and they should have watched it. But I've followed her since those days, and just to see her now owning her thing, having a cinema debut, it's just a full circle moment for me. And I'm very, very like, I respect her a lot, and she's such an inspiration. I'm going to say she's such an inspiration. She's just a testament that if you keep pushing the boundaries, whether it's in Nollywood storytelling, in YouTube, or whatever it is that you are doing, if you keep pushing the boundaries, you can actually achieve your goals. And that's who Adenike stands for me. And I respect her a lot. I really do. You can tell from the way I'm rambling. I respect her a lot. I respect her that even though she had a lot of like projects that tanked. I mean, there was a time she was going to release Chemistry on Netflix and that didn't work. I don't even know what the backstory of that is, but you could still see, regardless of whatever life threw at her, she still stood right back up and still fought to achieve her dreams. And I'm so inspired by that. I'm so inspired by that. But anyway, overall, Summer Rain was a very, very emotional, romantic, visually stunning, and deeply reflective movie. And it was a solid 7.5 out of 10 for me. And there were things I didn't like about the movie, but things that I liked made up for it, and I was here for it. I was here for Muri and Dim's love. I really liked it, and it just made me just have a lot of questions after I watched this movie. And the biggest question for me was, why is it so hard for some men to be vulnerable? And I really like someone to help me answer that in the comments below. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you've watched Summer Rain, let's talk about it in the comment section below, and I will definitely, most definitely, see you guys in the next one. Ta-da!